All right, here's the hidden secret to get your business credit quickly without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check in 2025. All right, look, there's a lot of false information online, a lot of fake news per se, and you don't want to get caught up in that. So you want the fastest, easiest way to get the most amount of credit to be able to grow your business. Okay, you probably don't want to worry about pesky personal guarantees or credit checks, and what's easy to do if you have that exact way and pathing. Okay, this secret, and honestly it's the best kept secret in the industry. Only companies that have helped tens of thousands of business owners, they are like in the personal circles, are the ones who are actually able to know this. And that's exactly what I'm going to dive right here in front of you guys, so you guys get some information in this video. You're going to find the proven way to be able to get your business credit quickly and be able to fund your business in as fast as you can. Okay, and you have not heard from me before, hi, my name is Danny and I own a Scorpio Financial, which is a credit repair and management company that helps consumers and businesses in all things credit. Okay, we got a lot to cover, so let's just dive right in. Okay, so look, if you go into business, bid on business credit the wrong way, it will cost you a tremendous amount of time. Okay, and the wrong way is listening to anybody that has not helped a lot of people, or somebody that will not know any type of processes. Look, a lot of people might be trying to legitimate help you, and some might be even trying to scam you when it comes to business credit. But I want to make sure that this advice is for somebody. Just know that I've done this quite a bit of times, and hopefully this is able to help you. Okay, because everybody's scenario is a little bit different. All niches and industries are completely different. So if you have tons of business owners like I've helped and Scorpio Financial, I'm able to take all of those experiences and concise them into this way. And this is how all of this process came into the way. I shouldn't even be sharing this, to be honest. So here's the first step of the process. Okay, the first step is often overlooked and not advised on, which is to build your business credit foundation correctly. Okay, the number one thing that lenders are going to look at outside of maybe SBA lenders, business credit sources, loans, credit lines, everybody's going to look, especially business credit vendors, if it's a legitimate business. Okay, how credible is your business? Are they determined? And they determine this by looking basically into the foundational steps of your business. Do you have an entity set up? Is it an LLC? Is it a corporation? Okay, does this business have a separate address, like a virtual office to a place like Alliance, Regis, DaVinci, or is it a real commercial building or a retail location, right? Not only just your home. Do you have a separate phone number from the business? Not only just a mobile phone or your home, right? So do you have a website for the business, a license for the business, a separate bank account for the business, okay? A professional email address for the business. It's crazy. You'd be surprised how many businesses do not have any of these things, okay? These are basic foundational steps you've got to take, okay? And most importantly, you've got to make sure that you know your industry code, okay? And that you choose a low risk code, okay? I'm doing so, and honestly, in doing so, now you meet a lot of the criteria that credit issuers have to be able to give you any type of business credit quickly. Okay, and here's why it's so important. Look, as business owners, well, as business owners, you want to get the money when you want to skip all these steps. You want to get as fast as possible. But the problem is that almost all of the denials happen because you mess this part up. Okay, and that brings me to step number 2. Okay, now we need to get the initial accounts reporting for the business credit reporting agencies. This really, there are really 2 ways in which you're able to do this. Okay, usually the first one that we do is that it's called starter vendors. Okay, and it's one of my favorites because anybody can do it. They don't look at your personal credit quality most of the time. Okay, and they give you credit without a personal guarantee. Okay. Even if you just launch your business today, or you're actually able to get this starter vendor accounts, which is pretty cool, right? That's why I like them so much. So these starter vendors are unique because first, they will actually give you credit even when you don't have one. Okay, they don't require that you have a business credit established. before they will actually approve you most of the times. Okay. And secondly, they will take the credit they will give you and they will report it, the payments to the business credit reporting agencies. Okay. Now, this is really important because over 90% of the vendors do not report the payment to the business credit reporting agencies. You heard me right. A lot of them don't do it. Okay. And a lot of vendors will give you credit. And if not a lot, or most of them, right, will not report to the credit to the business credit reporting agencies. Okay. So that doesn't help you build business credit. Okay. So you need to find and you need to use starter vendors that report the payment to any of the business credit reporting agencies. And one will actually approve you even when we have no business credit. Okay. We could do this by using places like Granger or Uline, amongst others, to be able to get you approved. Okay. Save those names. Now, the other way to be able to build initial business credit is through a program called CLH. Now, with this program, you're able to get 50, 100, even 150,000 in funding for your business, even as a brand new startup. Okay, you are able to get it with 0% interest rates for up to even 18 months. Okay, and a lot of these cards that you're getting report to the business credit reporting agency. Okay, so with this kind of financing, you're going to a funding source that's ultimately getting you about 5 or more business credit cards all at the same time. And then that's usually we call credit stacking as well. So this helps you get more funding. You get 0% interest rates, and they can even help you take the cash out of those cards at 0% rate as well. You can liquidate that, which, a lot of the real estate investors that we work with actually really love. Okay. And a lot of those cards report to the business credit reporting agencies, helping you establish initial business credit. All right. So those are kind of like the two best pathways to actually establish initial business credit. Oh, and now that I think about it, one more thing regarding step number 2, you're going to make sure that you get the credit, you use the credit, and you pay the bill on time. Okay, think about it kind of like a consumer side. Okay, that is what establishes your business credit profile and your score. Okay, look, Dun and Bradstreet won't even give you a credit profile unless you have a DUNS number. Okay, if you don't know what a DUNS number is, then you should probably start looking into it because it's just one of the main steps when it comes to your foundation or your business. Okay, you have, now that I'm talking about that, you have 3 accounts reporting to them. If you don't have both of those, you won't even have a credit report with Dun and Bradstreet. Okay, you need 3 accounts to report to them. Okay, so you got to make sure that you're getting credit to report and pay those bills on time. And then by doing so, you will give the vendors a credit history to actually report to the business credit reporting agencies. Okay, it's kind of like consumer credit, but also not. And then that brings me to step number 3, which is let's start getting the money that you're actually looking for. Okay, step number 3, we're going to start getting credit with major vendors. Okay, a vendor is basically a company that will issue you credit to buy their product and services. Okay, they'll basically be like any type of retailer, right? So we're talking Staples, Office Depot, Home Depot, Lowe's, Best Buy, Amazon, Hewlett Packard, Dell, Apple. You already get the idea. Okay, even Macy's and Nordstrom often discount no business credit without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. Okay, especially when you have some accounts that are established, your initial business credit reports, now you can start to get approved for this kind of vendor credit. Okay, a lot of them will approve you. Okay, initially with net terms like net 30, which means that you need to pay back whenever you borrow in 30 days. And then the more you build your credit profile with more vendor accounts, then you'll be able to get revolving credit when you can get credit with almost all major retailers with, you can get $10,000 to $50,000 limits without any type of personal guarantee, right? So now your uniforms, your utilities, all of them will be able to get added to those cards, right? Giving you access and more leverage for you to be able to start growing your business. Okay. And then that brings me to the next step, which is where you're actually going to start getting fleet credit. Okay, now fleet credit, it's where we're actually getting credit at fuel stations and repair and maintenance of vehicles. All right, look, now that I think about it, if you're like me and are working in an office, right, it doesn't really matter as much. I don't have any fleet credit, But if you're in the transportation industry, right? Well, this is a huge game changer, okay? Because you might spend 1,000 to be able to fill up one of your vehicles just in one day, okay? So when you have a vehicle or a fleet of vehicles that needs maintenance, repairs, fuels, then fuel credit cards are really, 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 really helpful for this, okay? And you can start to get them when you have about 5 accounts of your business credit reports. All right, so see how everything starts turning and building to one another in multiple layers. Then as you continue to build your business credit and have about 14 accounts in your business credit reports, now you can get into the final step of business credit building, where you can get auto financing with places like General Motors, Ford, Toyota, even Visa cards and MasterCards, which are, that's what we call the universal credit revolving system. Okay. And you can get all of it without any personal guarantee and credit check. Okay. So, those are the steps to be able to build business credit. Now that we have that, let me talk to you about when and if there's something that happens, what's going to fail. Okay. The most common reasons for denials. So the most common, ways for you to not get approved any type of funding comes to the foundation of everything. Okay. You don't look legitimate. You don't look credible. Your business isn't truly separated from you. Okay. You've got to make sure you and your business are separated. Okay. And you build that foundation by taking those foundational steps. Okay. So let me kind of those are just essentials. Okay. If you don't, it's one of the most common reasons why you're going to get denied. Okay. The second most common reason you're getting denied is that if you're applying the wrong credit in the wrong order at the wrong time. See, like with Scorpro, for example, we call this tiering, and we actually involve the tiering system to tier the level of accounts that you should apply and in what order. Okay. This changes on a year-to-year basis, so it's possible, it will be really crazy for me to teach you on one video like this. But, if you want a DIY system or want to work with one of our coaches to do it for you using our software and to make sure you get in touch, just make sure to leave us a comment. This is just in this video, right? Just shameless plug there. So if you're doing this on your own, you need to know what if you're applying or if you're getting denied. Either there is an issue with your foundation or you apply too early in the process. Okay, so let me I know it's a lot, so let me give you an example. Okay, you might be able to get a Lowe's account with 5 accounts in your business credit reports, but Home Depot might require 7. Okay, so if you go to Home Depot with only 5 accounts, you're going to get denied. All right, but if I went to Lowe's, I'll get approved. All right. So now that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be able to come in and not be able to get in a Lowe's account that has without having or by having 7 accounts required. Okay. It just means that I just need to add more accounts to my business credit reports to go and get that approval. Okay. And that is what the tiering system means, right? So some vendors want to approve you until you have 2 accounts in your business credit reports. Some want to approve you and let you get 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this also applies for financing, right? So you have to make sure that you have the right amount of accounts to get approved. If you're not using a software like the one I mentioned a little bit with Scorpro, if you're not using a team, well, then it's a little bit of a trial and error at this point. But just don't get frustrated. If you can do not get approved for one, just know that it's probably a timing issue. Okay, if you might want to know why you're getting denied. You're applying most likely either too early than what it should be. You're getting credit, and then you just want to make sure that you pay everything on time. You make sure that the accounts that you're doing prior are actually in good standing. And then the more accounts your business credit reports you add, there's more you're most likely going to get approved in the future. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about timing. Okay. A lot of business owners ask me, how long does it take to build business credit? How long does it take to build foundation and start with the vendors the very first week of the process, for example? Then a month that after you paid all those bills, then those accounts will actually report for you. Now you have established a business credit profile and scored 30 days into the process. Now you can start getting those actual vendor accounts, and now your credit report starts building. So, Then you continue with vendor trade lines with fleet credit. Then you go into process into the next, I would say, by all this time, you're talking between 4 to 6 months. Okay. Which means that you're getting auto financing, universal credit, all types of business credit at this point without any personal or any type of credit check and personal guarantee in that time frame. Okay, there's a fair warning, right? This all depends on varies on how fast you do things, but you can have coaches you can start working with. You can get a software like the one I mentioned. It might take you years to get there, and honestly, if you go through all the good things, it might take you months. It might take you sometimes a year, right? It all varies depending on the time in which you're setting up your business profile. Okay, so the next question that I usually get as well is like, how much money can you really get when it comes to business credit financing? And honestly, in the business world, there's no limits. Okay, you can get as much as you actually apply for. We have clients that have secured well over $1 million in business credit and financing, and we've got clients that are happy with just $50,000 or $100,000. Okay, how much you apply for is going to determine what you're actually getting, and there's no adverse consequences for applying for more credit. Like I'm thinking about like consumer credit where you're pretty much dinged every single time that there's an inquiry, right? That doesn't happen in the business world. So you can apply for like 10 credit cards today and it actually wouldn't harm you. So you're actually able to get kind of like unlimited amount of business credit because there is so many vendors out there. There are so many that they offer, and you're gonna be able to get as much as you're actually applying for. Okay, so once you get all this momentum and you start to get approved and you start to be able to have more and more approvals, your business credit profile gets deeper and deeper. It gets bigger and bigger, and then you're gonna start to be able to get approved for most and anything that you want at this point. Okay, the cool thing about it is that the personal credit check that it's gone, the personal guarantees that protects you, it's amazing. And there's only limit that you get to be applying to get approved for is how much you're applying, right? So think about it, the sky's the limit when it comes to business credit building, business credit funding and financing. And which is why I always say that just by building business credit, you give your business the ability for it to actually fund itself. Okay, so now that you build your business credit, now we want to make sure that it stays good, and then it gets better to make it easier for us to be able to get credit and financing moving forward. Okay, now you're going to be doing this by constantly monitoring your business credit. Now the second thing that I want to tell you and I want to highlight is that you want to do what you want to make sure it's always paying your bills on time, right? I shouldn't even be saying this, but you'll be surprised. And remember, in the business world, you're considered late even if you're just one day beyond the term. Okay, so you don't get an extra freebies most of the time. Okay, so you do not want to be considered late. You always want to make sure that your payments are on time and early, because your business credit scores are primarily driven only on how much and when you pay your bills. Okay, so the major scores that lenders and credit issuers look at, 80%, if not 100%, are driven just by the payment history. Okay, you have complete control. So make sure that you're monitoring your business credit. It's not like consumer credit where you have multiple variables. This is just, are you paying on time? Yes or no? Okay, so make sure that you're paying your bills on time. Make sure that you're paying them early if you even can, because that's what really matters. Okay, don't get credit and not use it because it doesn't help you build business credit unless you're actually using it. And make sure that you're constantly building business credit. Okay, so this is all kind of like some tips and tricks that are just coming to my mind to make sure that you're doing it the right way. So if you're asking lenders, you're asking credit issuers, you want to make sure that they report to the business credit bureaus, okay, or the reporting agencies, because again, if you've watched some of our videos, I'll say 80 or 90% of the business credit reporting accounts that you get are not reporting to the business credit bureaus. Okay, so if I'm given lenders, right? Lender A, lender B, lender Z. Lender A gives me 100,000. Lender B gives me 150. Lender C gives me 300,000. But then the ones that give me the bigger amounts to actually report to the business credit bureaus, I'm actually going to get the one that reports to the business credit bureaus because it actually gives me enough for me to be able to continue moving forward, right? I want to make sure that I get credit lines, that I get credit cards, that I get everything that I need in the future to set that up. All right. So there you have it, guys. A lot of information. I hope that you got it on paper. If not, you can always rewind back to the video. And yeah, guys, if you found any any help, if you learned something from this video, make sure to comment, subscribe, and like. Just like always, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment below. Share it so more people are actually able to see and learn from this video. And yeah, guys, with that being said, I'll see you on the next one.